Hello YouTubers, this is Bargain Paper. This is my first attempt at really making a how-to video. Just kind of doing a head gasket here on a 2005 Honda Civic EX. The problems were that it had overheated several times and it started consuming a significant amount of coolant. It looks like so far the head is off. I just got it back from the machine shop, and anyway. One thing you may notice, I still have some coolant in the block itself. That is because part of the draining procedure for getting rid of all the coolant out of the engine is actually loosening this bolt. Let's see if I can, right there, that one right there. And some of you that may have attempted this may know that it seems like it's on there pretty snug, and getting it from down there, laying on your back, it's pretty much a bitch. So anyway, I don't know if you can tell, but I kind of rounded it off a little. Let's see. Yeah, right there. I rounded it off a little. I didn't do it to the point where I had completely stripped it, so I knew that maybe once I had the head off I'd have a better angle at it, and I did. I've actually already broken it loose. I just left it there to kind of show you guys, but there's where the oil filter goes, and yeah, again, laying down there, reaching up, it's kind of a pain in the butt. So here's the head that I got back. It is kind of sitting on its side right now. I didn't want to put it, have the valves sitting down flat because some of them are open, and let's see, as you can see, see if you can see this one a little better from over here. It is sticking out a little bit. I didn't want to run the risk of bending the valve, especially after all the work I had done to it. So, as you can see, it's been resurfaced. Let's see, back up a little bit. It's been resurfaced. It's been all cleaned up. It's been pressure tested. There were no issues, even though it had overheated quite a few times. There was no real damage. So, the machine shop I took it to was kind enough to pull the cam out, put the new valve seals in, and actually put in a, let's see over here, the camshaft gasket over there. I didn't really want to have to deal with all this stuff, nor did I have the tools to kind of pull all the valves and everything. The guy was kind enough to do it for me. So anyway, all cleaned up. He did all my valve clearances and everything for me too for a little over $100. I felt like that was a pretty darn good job. So anyway, just another shot of the head. Okay, here it is. I got the passenger side water coolant passage set up and all that stuff attached, and then I went ahead and I put the cam sprocket on and everything while I was at it. And just so you guys know, just something I highly recommend is I labeled everything. There's a cam sensor and bolt that was in there. I'll show you over on here on the side. The cam sprocket bolt, the bolt behind. I wrote it all out in simplest terms because I am just a shade tree mechanic. I don't know all the fancy verbiage, but bolt behind the cam sprocket holds on the plastic cap. Again, come over here, I'll show you the setup that I got going on too, but this is a plastic cap, and on the other side over here there's a cam sprocket sensor too. So just labeled everything just so I wouldn't forget how to put this thing back together. And by the way, in my handy dandy book over here, tells me that the cam sprocket is held on at 27 foot-pounds. So I just have a torque wrench, and this is actually a cam sprocket holder that, if you can see, I was able to with one hand push on that, and on the other hand pull this up, clicks, bada bing bada boom, 27 foot-pounds. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do here is I took the timing belt off. It was just a matter of just sliding it off since the head's already off. But I'm going to replace the water pump while I'm here. There it is. And then the timing belt tensioner, spring and bolt. Okay, so we've got the new water pump, which is right up here, in. The new tensioner is currently in. It's not torqued down yet because obviously got to put the timing belt back on. I cleaned up the mating surface a little bit up here, kind of wiped down all the coolant and all the stuff that was kind of in the way. And then back here you can see, let's see, where is it? Right there. Got the new coolant drain bolt in with the new crush washer, so everything's pretty ready to go to receive the head. Okay, so the head is back on. Probably would have been a little easier with a second set of hands to help put it on there, but all in all, went on all right. So now I've got the proper tightening sequence, some head bolts, and I got a little bit of oil I'm going to put on them and start tightening this thing down before I can start putting the timing belt back on. Okay, so I was able to get the timing belt on. As you can see, I did label, the date is down there, and then also the mileage on the car, just for the sake of, you know, whoever pulls it apart next, probably going to be me. But anyway, timing belt is on. Let's see if you can see this. There's the water pump, and then the pin is still in the tensioner. I've got the spring. Let's see that little orange tab sticking out is where the spring goes around and grabs onto the side of the tensioner there. And then if you come down here, it's down around the crank pulley. This is where the woodruff key goes in. It's kind of pointing straight up, and you can't really see it, but up in here there's a little notch, and then there's a arrow saying a line saying where it should be lined up for top dead center. So yeah, it's all lined up. And then back up here on the other side over here, there's it says up on this one vertical post of the sprocket, but also down here from the inside, right over here, down here, you can't see it with my phone, sorry, but there's a little line, and same thing with over on this side, a little line that's supposed to line up with the top of the head. So everything seems all lined up. I'm going to spin the crank a little bit and just make sure that it stays all timed up, and if that's the case, I'll torque down the tensioner bolt down there, pull that pin, and it should be good to go. If I feel any resistance, obviously I'll stop and try to reline it up, but hopefully that won't be the case. Okay, so I checked timing, turned it over by hand, and just made sure everything lined up. There was no resistance, everything looks fine, so I think it's all good. Now I'm going to kind of reattach a couple of little things down here. I did, down at the base, down here, down by the crank pulley, there's a little sensor down there that I reattached. But I'm just going to kind of attach some of these miscellaneous plugs and grounds and stuff like that, put the VTEC solenoid back on. As you can see, I put a filter in it and everything like that. These are just little things that I kind of detached at the last minute when I pulled the head out. So anyway, just going to kind of button some little things up before I start thinking about putting the timing belt covers on and the engine mount and all that stuff. So okay, so kind of connected a couple little things over there. The VTEC solenoid's back on and attached. Now I'm just going to put I believe this is the alternator mounting bracket, and also the engine mount kind of sits down right on this corner down here. So I'm going to put that on, and then from there I'll put the timing belt covers on and everything. Okay, so I have the timing covers on, and also the alternator bracket / engine mount right here. Kind of wraps around in an L shape around the corner of the engine. You can see I did number stuff. Bolt number 1, 2, 3, and then over here you got 4 and 5. One thing to note is that 4 and 5, you kind of need to slide them into the engine mount itself as you place the bracket around the engine, because once you get these all in here and once it's in place, there's not enough room between the fender and the holes there to slide the bolt in. But anyway, I got both upper and lower timing belt covers on. Made sure I got both sensors connected. There's a crank position sensor down at the lower timing belt cover, and then up here there's another one kind of right down here in the edge there. But anyway, got all that. I believe the next step here is going to be probably the valve cover and then the intake and exhaust manifolds. So one thing I neglected to mention was that the crank pulley needed to go on with that son of a bitch crank pulley bolt that per the manual says it's held on by some 181 foot-pounds of torque, which is ungodly. So anyway, I put it back. I put the pulley back in, or the harmonic balancer, with the woodruff key and everything. Again, just check timing one last time. Everything looks all right. Put that bolt in there, and my torque wrench only goes up to 150 foot-pounds. I figured that's good enough. I was able to get it to click, and yeah, I've heard that these things tighten up as you drive, so I'm not too worried about it. And then coming up here, I've set the valve cover back on top. It's got a new gasket. I did put some RTV gasket maker kind of stuff over in the kind of the corners, like down in here and here, and then same thing on this side. You can't really see it down in there, but I'll put it in place, and I'm just going to start tightening this back down, and I'll put the spark plug stuff back in, line it all up, kind of start patching it all together. Then it's intake and exhaust manifold.